Okay, tonight is chapter 11, and tonight we're talking about know the condition of your flock. So the chapter is about you as the leader. You need to know your follower. And in the sense that Jesus said that you are the shepherd, and all the people that follow you are the flock or the sheep. So this chapter requires that you know them. So how you going to know each one of them personally? And as God said that God knows each one of us personally, and He take good care of each one of us at what we need. Now we try to learn that if you have 10 people that follow you or you take care of them, it might be not that difficult to know that 10 people. But when you have 50 or 100 people, now it's more difficult and more complicated to know each one of them. Now you look and compare how Moses lead 3 million people. At first, Moses tried to know each one of them personally, and it turned out impossible. 3 million, how long is it going to take you to know all of them? Just to know their name alone is forever. And to know each one person need, as Moses sit in the morning, listen to each one of them until nighttime. How many people he can listen to? The maximum each day may be 50, 100 people. And how long is it going to take to know 3 million people? It's impossible. So his father-in-law told him that, well, you divide them in smaller groups and let them have their own leader. And the leader report to you. So that you get some help. You cannot deal with 3 million people yourself. You need to have helper and divide your responsibility into small parts and get help. And you supervise all the helper. And then that's how you're going to get in touch with all your people. Now, this is the same thing now, how we get to know everyone that we're taking care of. Now, what the Bible say? Now, today, when they compare to the internet pastor, because today we talk a lot about technology, and some pastors today don't have congregation or mean that the flock anymore. They do all this job through internet, and they don't care about the people or the press. They say that this is the best way to do for the future. You don't need to have the land. You don't need to have building. And you don't need to have all the expenses. You just preach and guide through the internet. And your flock is everywhere, all over the world. Well, by theory, it looks good. But in practical terms, it's impossible. Why? Because we found out that a church needs to have a press, and the people need to get together. You can use internet sometimes to supplement what you have, but you cannot replace a church with internet. In time of COVID, the past 2 years, we learned how to use internet. We know how to use Zoom. We know how to use a lot of technology, not to replace the real church, but to supplement. And in time that we cannot meet or in emergency, we use internet. But now a lot of people think that we can replace the real church with internet or technology. Well, we need to find out soon that people still need a real personal relationship. People still need to get together, and people need to function together at a church. So nothing can replace that. For the time being, what the Bible say? Well, Jesus said that I build my church, and the church will survive forever. So it means that COVID cannot kill the church, or in the future, many other worst things that will happen to mankind. War and more disease will come, but the church will survive. But we still need to learn how to survive in all situations and supplement whatever we can use. Do you know that in many countries, the church still not meet in person? Unbelievable. In America, we meet in person long time ago, but many countries in the world still not allow church to meet in person. They still have to use internet, and they still worry about the disease or the sickness. You go back to China, is the strictest country in the world. They still not even open the country to foreigners. And if they found out that one person sick in the whole city, they shut down the whole city. Because they believe in the policy of zero tolerance, mean that we cannot find even one sick person in the whole city. It's somewhat impossible to do that. Because people get sick all the time. How can you stop people from getting sick? So we need to balance that. We need to learn how to live with problem, disease, and a lot of things. We cannot just live in fear. So we need to balance precaution, health, good health, and also protection. At the same time, we need the church. Now you see that the church have many positions from the Bible. You will see that in Ephesians chapter 4 talk about apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher. This is the position of the church. Beside all the followers, this is the people that are taking care of the flock, taking care of the people. And Act 20, pay attention to yourself and to all the flock in which the Holy Spirit had made you oversee. So this is some command that we who are the leaders select by God to lead the flock, the people. We need to take good care of them. And we need, besides teaching them, you need to know them. And you see that in this picture, they live as a big family. They're taking care of one another. In the early church, they meet every day. The church not meet just on Sunday. They meet every day after they work. And people in the early church, they work 12 hours a day at least. Mean that from sun up to sundown. Allow 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. But after work, most of them, the believer will come to join in the big house. They have dinner together, and then they have worship time. Bible study, worship for allow 2 hours. And then they separate out to their home to rest. And then get up and go to work again. Now people say that, oh, it's so exhausting. But they have joy and happiness. In the old days, they don't have all kind of entertainment. They have no television, no movie, no internet, no anything. So for them, church, the worship time is kind of entertainment for them. They can sing, they can hear story, they have some pray, some music. And for everyone, even little kids love coming to church because this is more fun than just stay home. And now Jesus and the Bible use the picture of shepherd and sheep a lot. And it's not just a simple comparison, but we learn a lot about the relationship between the sheep and the shepherd. It's more than just animal and owner. It becomes friend. And when Jesus said that the good shepherd died for his flock. It really, in that sense, mean that the shepherd need to protect the sheep from the flock, from the bear, from the lion. He put himself in harm to protect the life of the sheep that he taking care of. And this is the real picture. And he can name each one of the sheep himself, because the rest he raised them up from birth. And the sheep know him. And Jesus said that this is the good real relationship that have to build on trust and love. So how to make people love you and trust you? This is the first question that I want you to think. How you make people trust you and love you. It's not just something you can demand from them. You need to earn it. How you earn it? Well, like the picture of the sheep and the shepherd. The sheep is weak and need protection and need someone to guide them. I don't know exactly, but they always say a sheep have a bad eyesight, but good ear. Mean that when something too far, they cannot see very well. So the sheep always have to get close to one another so they can follow someone in front of them. When the shepherd call, they can hear very well, even far, far away. And beside that, if 10 shepherds calling from 10 group of sheep, all the sheep know which voice is the owner. They don't get lost. They follow the real one because they have a good sense of hearing. So when Jesus compared us to the sheep, he said that we don't use our eye to see a lot, but we use our ear to listen a lot. Listen to God. A lot of things we see is not clear, it's not exactly the right thing. But when we pay attention to hear God, we can hear the right guidance. Now we come back to what we're talking about. The shepherd needs to know the condition of his flock, how they get well. Now, I never count, but some people count that the Bible mentioned about shepherd more than 200 times. Today, the internet, the computer can count for us. Like when you search the Bible on a certain verse, they can tell you how many times it popped up. So now new technology help us a lot. You can find any verse in the Bible. The new program can help us learn the Bible so quick now. More than 200 times, the Bible mentioned about shepherd or shepherding. So it means something. And most of them in the four gospels. So that is something serious. Well, we have some of that in the book of Psalm when David had a shepherd, young shepherd. And he wrote a lot of Psalm concerning what he learned from his young age. And if you look at all those quotes, 200 of them, they talk about relationship between the flock and the shepherd. Now, this is the secret. In order to be a good shepherd, you need to know your flock very well. And you need to spend your whole life with them. It's not just a job. You go to work a few hours a day and go back home and forget about them. No, it becomes a relationship. It becomes a life work. It becomes part of your life. So this is something that a lot of modern day people forgot about, the real teaching of the shepherd and the sheep, the relationship that lasts forever, lifetime. It's not just a few months, a few years, or a few hours a day, no, or a few weeks a day, a week, no. Now, in this lesson, they will talk a lot about the sheep, try to know the sheep. And they use the illustration of sheep and a believer a lot. In that sense, how you know your flock, how you know your member. Now, this is some very interesting point. In a study of sheep psychology, you ever think about people study sheep psychology? We're talking about child psychology, young people, old man, woman psychology, but you never heard about sheep psychology. Some people who pay attention or expert in that field, they found out that the sheep can recall faces of 50 or more sheep for up to 2 years. What that mean? Mean that when the sheep see anything, it imprint in their mind for more than 2 years. Mean that if they know you, they won't forget you. It's like what they say that if you have a dog and the dog never forget you. You ever believe that if you visit some family and a dog come to sniff on you, and they say that the dog will never forget your smell his whole life. Do you believe that? Whenever you visit the house again, the dog remember your smell. It doesn't matter you smell good or you smell bad, the dog remember your smell and can tell that this is you, not someone else. Even can tell that this is you, not your wife, this is not your children. Even you eat the same food, come from the same family, you still have different smell for the dog. They say that the dog never forget your smell his whole life. So unbelievable how God do that. Now they talk about sheep. Even sheep don't have a good eyesight, but when they know you, they won't forget you. But we human beings, we forget faces, we forget people all the time. When you meet someone and after a while you see them again, you forget their name. That's the first thing. And sometimes you even forget that you met them before. Or you mix up with someone else. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse when you get older. That we human beings. But unbelievable of animal kingdom. When they know you, they don't forget you. They remember you their whole life. Even after they get old, they still remember you. So this is something that when the Bible talk about relationship that you build with other people, it's going to last a lifetime. It's not just a few months, a few years. It's lifetime relationship that you build with other believers. And it's not just last in this world. It's going to last in the future world when we live with God in heaven too. So this is something that worthwhile keeping, something worthwhile building, because it's not forever. You build a house the best you can, your house might last 20, 30 years in this world. And whatever you build in this world, not going to last forever. At the same time, throughout history, when you take care of the sheep, the chief give you back a lot. What they give you back? Besides friendship, they give you food. The chief give you milk, give you wool, give you meat. It provides everything for you to survive. While you're taking care of them, they provide you with all the means for you to survive and do well. So this is the give and take relationship that lasts forever. And the Bible mentioned a lot about shepherd. And Jesus himself called himself the good shepherd that died for the flock, for the sheep. And he modeled himself for us as leader, supervisor, manager, pastor. We not just supervise them, we not just manage them, but we lead them, we teach them, and we sacrifice for them too, when we need to. So this is the relationship that beyond just this world, but it's lasts forever. So don't forget that the two questions I want you to think before I come back to you is how to make relationship last forever. By two words that I want you to see is how to make people trust you and how to make people love you. It's beyond just to know one another, but to share the life together. When Jesus compares to sheep and shepherd, he have a lot more to teach us from that illustration. How good you know your flock, how good you know your people, how well you know them, and how well they know you. It starts with good relationship. You cannot repress that. Some people in modern day say that I write my autobiography for people to read. Well, to read about you and to know you personally is not the same thing. A lot of people have beautiful autobiography written several pages or the whole book for people to read about them, to know about them, but no personal relationship. It's like we know about our president very well because we read the story about him, books after books. But do you really know the president? Or the president really know you? No. You might give him $10,000 or $100,000 and you can check hands with him at the White House. And that's it. You think he can remember you? Forget it. After the check hand, he don't even know that you exist. And it's worth it, 100,000 to check hand with him. Some people think it's worth it. Because this is one time in the whole life to check hand with the president at the White House. Even it costs that much. I don't know any of you won that lottery. I heard it just announced it's selling in California, $2 billion price. Unbelievable. $2 billion. And the store that sell the ticket got millions of dollars as the bonus. The owner of the store did not buy the ticket, but they sell the ticket and get the bonus of several $million. So he become rich too. Because that the relationship, you get well with the one that you take good care of, you help them get rich, so you share something. That the thinking that going on, or share something, the go pot. So it talks a lot about relationship. It's not just to know the people, but how to build relationship that lasts forever. Now, if you compare to someone that you get married with, and we hope that going to be a lifetime relationship. Now you compare about how you build your love, your care for one another with your spouse. What is the lasting relationship? The Bible compares us with God as spouse too. The Bible compare a lot of time, compare us that we are the bride of Christ, mean that the relationship have to be that deep, lifetime, and forever, very close. And when Jesus compared the relationship between the sheep and shepherd, it's not just an animal for food. He compared it as father and son, or father and children. When he used that illustration to compare us to the people that we lead, or we teach, or we take care of. It's not just employer-employee. It's a family. And we are part of that family. How we take good care of one another. Now I will stop here somewhere and come back to you for your reflection on how to make people love you and trust you. What kind of investment that you need to put in? Okay, I want you to reflect on the relationship of sheep and shepherd. How you make your sheep to trust you and love you. And how can you love them as part of your life? So we're not talking about a job. We talk about relationship.
Trust, Ajahn.
How you make them trust you? How you trust them?
Well, you do your part. You love them, you care for them, and sometimes the sheep didn't see that. I don't know how you express, but maybe each sheep has different thoughts. So you love one, and one gonna hate you, one gonna go stray, But you still love them anyway. The sheep, you be responsible for them, and you care about them, and you do whatever it takes, to be able to have them trust you.
Now, if you bring it closer to your children, why you love your children? And do you think they love you?
I think so.
Why you say that you think so? They prove anything that they say they love you?
Well, because they are part of you, Ajahn. They are part of you, and I think, to me, I think I love my children. It's just the way they are. Sometimes, like you can tell them one thing and they do the other thing.
You know that I believe that most parents love their children, but I doubt that most children love their parents.
You're right. I think that's true too, Ajahn.
What make a difference? Why most parents love their children, but most children don't love their parents?
I think the parent created them. That's the love, They said all the children are the blessing from God to the parents, right? And we love them no matter how they turn out. They still just children. like us. God loves us the way we are, but even though we don't listen to him, we were stray, he still loves us. He still find a way to save us.
You ever heard the story that say that raise up children to be thieves?
I don't think any parents want their children to grow up to be thief or murder.
But a lot of parents raise their children up to be that way.
The part of that, maybe the parents don't know how to raise their children.
And all the parents say they love their children, but they raise them up to be a thief or bad guy. How?
Because their mom and dad are in the thief themselves.
That's good. Yeah.
I think that part of it, you see that whoever you are, you raise up your children that way.
I think that's true, John.
You cannot just hope for the best. You need to do the best too. If you do a bad job and hope it will come out good, it's impossible. Yes, Farm.
John, like they said, apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So
Yeah.
I think for us as a parent, we might not have a perfect background. We don't have someone to teach us. Maybe have a parent, they probably older fashioned, who knows, But like in Mien saying, what is this? I forgot that word. That's what he says. If you can lead by example, I don't know how to say it. You can learn from other people. Sometimes your parent might not be a good example. They don't know how to teach you, but you can learn from other people. You can learn from your Sunday school teacher, your pastor. Sometimes we say, we're here, but then we never practice. So I think some children, they have a bad influence friends. So we as a parent, we just have to stand firm and teach. And we have to lead by example. We have to be a good example to our children. Like I heard you guys said, some people said that maybe children don't love the parent and the parent don't love the children. I'm sure all parents, I would say majority of the parents love the children, and a little bit here and there, but we have to lead by example. If we see our children do wrong, if we don't teach them, then of course they're gonna do wrong. So they said that the Bible also taught us, you have to teach your children if you love them. If you don't teach them, then you don't love them, right? That's what the Bible says. So we're not perfect, but at least we try. We'll have to try. Don't give up, right? So I don't know. Sometimes I ask my boys, I said, do you love me? They say, yeah. So if they want to leave the house, they tell me they love me. Which is, I told them, thank you for that. It's good to hear, because maybe you come home. If you don't say that, you come home, you don't see me. So, sometimes we just have to ask the children, do you love me? They do. I'm sure other children, they love, us as a parent, but sometimes it's really hard for them to express. Because like for me, and I hardly tell my parents I love them until I don't know, because I never heard them tell me that they love me, in an old way, they say they love you, but they cannot hit you, You ask them why, they said they love you. I said, well, I didn't hear you say it, so you must not love me, but they said they do. So for us, we have to tell children we love them verbally, honestly. We hug our children, we kiss them, give them the big boy now. So that's a good way, if they cannot voice. So we got 3. So if we cannot do that now, later they cannot do it too, because we never give them a hug. We never tell them we love them. So they cannot, they cannot do it. So they have to hear from us. Sometimes kind of uncomfortable to say it, but you have to say it. If you say it a couple of times, so you'll be okay. Right?
You know that we, in the Eastern culture, we always credit back to Confucius, the Chinese philosopher. And he lived in the same time as Buddha. And he laid a foundation in Chinese philosophy, and it influenced all Asian, half of Asian at least. Confucius teach that don't show your love to your children or even your spouses. Don't tell them you love them. Don't honor them. Don't compliment them. Why? He said that you will spoil them. So always harsh on them, so they will try harder. That's his philosophy. And that is imprinted on most Asian countries, especially in the Southeast or the East Asian, that have the Chinese influence, philosophy, and teaching. And that is a bad teaching.
Yeah, we have that in me too. That's what I said.
We learn from that.
Yeah, we learn from the parent. My mom always said,
Chinese.
yeah, we're Chinese too. Yes, my mom also said that too.
Yeah.
Don't spoil your children, even though you love them,
Don't show your love to them.
but don't show too much, you know. I said, well, in this country, you know, you better be, I'd rather be honest than not being honest with them, you know. Once you lose the trust, that's the time you have a hard time to gain it back.
But most European civilization based on Christian teaching, so that's a good one. We need to let them know, and we need to act. But American culture go opposite way. American learn from psychology in the last 200 years that teach us, especially 100 years ago. American psychology teaches that tell everyone that you love them, even you mean it or not, doesn't matter. Just say, I love you all the time, until it doesn't mean anything. So that is another opposite extreme. It besides saying that you love everyone and always say to everyone that you are okay, you do very well, you are very good, you are very smart, even they do a bad job, especially to children. That's another extreme. The Bible teaches to tell the truth with love. So what that mean? If they do good, honor them, respect them, and compliment them. If they do bad thing, tell them, but with love, and help them to correct that. So that's the Bible way. And you are the leader, as a shepherd, you need to do the same thing. Say the truth, do by the truth, according to the truth, but with love. With love. A lot of people do it not with love. Truth alone not enough. It needs to do with love. So now we get somewhere. You say that being a good example. You cannot teach by words alone. You need to set a good example. You heard the story that a dad who found out that his son smoked at the young age. So the dad punished the son and tell him, stop smoking, don't smoke. It's bad for you. In the same time, he hit his son with one hand with a stick. Another hand, he hold a cigarette. So what kind of teaching is that?
Hypocrite, Ajahn.
And you ask them, they say, adult can do anything, but kid can.
Just like an example, when my son grown up to be a teenager, I tell him I see all the cuss word come out of his mouth. And I said, you know, why you using cuss word? Because God made the mouth. You should use the mouth to glorify God in the kind word. He said, everybody doing that, but you are not everybody. I have to fight with a teenager like that. You're not everybody. You're my kid. You know, I didn't teach you that. You see that I set example. You see any cuss word come out from my mouth, you know. But they said, everybody doing that, it's cool.
Yeah, it's difficult to be different. When you are a teenager, you want to be like one of them, but God wants us to be different, and that's tough. That's why we need a whole body of Christ to let them know that they have a family, they have a friend. They don't need to copy other people. They have good example. They have a family, a church, a Christian community that they can copy. They can have a good model. If they don't have choices, they will follow their friend at school. So that is so important that we need to be part of the body, part of the church. Without that, your children have not good role model. They will follow everyone at school or the bad thing. But if you have a church, a family, a church, they have good model to follow. They have good option. A lot of our teenagers or young people don't have option because we don't have them at church. So they have model from school. And you know that most of the thing at school is not good anymore. American teacher will say that they hire me to teach them to know how to read, how to write, how to do arithmetic, but they don't hire me to be a good example. So that is not my job. It's a parent job. Do you agree with that?
Ajahn, I found out that in our country, like Thailand or Laos, children tend to, parents at home, teachers teach them at school and all coordinate together. I mean, it really helped the kids.
Yeah, in our culture, we always say that every adult is the teacher to help the young generation to learn good things. We all take part in that. But in the Western culture, you see, it's not their business, it's the parent job. So that's why the society breaks down. It needs the whole country. Hillary Clinton used to say that it needs the whole community to raise up the kid. But the Bible says that it needs the whole church to raise up a good children. And it's not just the pastor's job, it's everyone's job to help build up the family of God together. And I say that Moses cannot do the job alone. He needs all the help he can get. And we all call to be part of that job. Okay, I will give you some time to think. And when we come back from a little break, you can share how to make your flock follow you and love you and trust you too. What model can you use? And what can you do? Okay, let's take a short break now. As a Christian leader, do you think that can we make people love us? Or how can we earn their love?
Ajahn, I think we need to love them first, no matter what situation they are. And you show the love to them, and they're gonna, even though the people that don't love you, and but they're gonna gradually later on is gonna love you.
The Bible says that God loved us first and loved us while we are sinners. And that is how God earned our love and get our love. Jesus did not wait for us to come back before he died for us. He died for us first. So we learn from that you have to give first before you can get.
Yes.
And love doesn't care that you get it back or not. So one of the main things at the model of Jesus at the shepherd is he loved his disciple, no condition. He loved them all. And he died for them. And he said that he give all to save them. So the key is you need to give. No condition. Some will love you back, some won't. It doesn't matter. You earn their trust by you trust them. Some trust you, some won't. It doesn't matter. You do your part. And that's what the model from the Bible, from Jesus himself. I believe that we as parents, we give our children everything we can give. And we don't expect much back from them. Yes, Nathan?
Ajahn, I don't know if it's true or not, but Indian saying, they said, if mom breastfeed, most likely the children will be attached or close to her. And in our days, most of our kids, they drink milk from store. And they said just because of that, then our kids, they're not attached to us. Is it not true or not?
Well, there's some study, and they found out that it's not mostly about what kind of milk, but when mom feed the baby from her chest, she hold the baby. And the relationship is lasts a long time. The baby feel warm, loved, and cared by that holding for several years. But when you feed them with formula, the baby lay on the bed by himself. So now you saw the difference. You still can change the way. Even you feed your baby with formula, you still need to hold the baby and feed them. And that will supplement what you lost. You cannot replace the real best meal, but at least you do the part that you're holding the baby close to your chest most of the time. And they even more study that if you let the baby or the child sleep in your bed long time until they grown up, Americans won't do that. They say, many studies found out that the child will grow up and never far away from the parents. The attachment lasts lifetime. It's just simple, let them sleep with you until they grown up. But American way say that if you raise up the child that way, they depend on you their whole life. They don't want to be independent. They don't want to separate. Americans want their baby to grow up independent. So they let the baby cry by themselves to sleep. Never take them to their bed by theory. But in fact, more than half of Americans confess that they let their baby sleep with them. By theory, they say that never let the child sleep in parent bed. But in practical terms, about half of Americans did let their child sleep with them. But in Asian or Eastern culture, that's very normal. And that is the reason that the child stay and stick with parents until the day they die. American 18, they kick out to college, and most of them never come back. 18 done. They might come home once a year, Christmas time. So both ways there is the plus and good thing and bad thing, but I think we can learn from all the good thing from each culture, and the Bible have even the better standard to do the best thing. Now you can have relationship with your follower, your member in the way of the Bible, or you think you're going to use the American way, the Asian way. But the best way is what Jesus teaches. How you raise your kid up, American way or the Asian way?
Asian way, Jan.
Mean that you let them sleep with you until they grown up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all my kids sleep with me until they grow up, until 10 years old, some more 10, so with all my 5 children, I have 3 girls and 2 young men, 2 boys, so grow up with us.
You can be sure that your children will always allow you until the day you die.
Yeah, until even my grandchildren, they sleep with me until they're 2 years old. In the bed, mom, dad go work. So I hope they hang around until I die.
That's it. 100 or 1,000 year proof that it worked that way. This is not just a guessing. This is a real study. You have choice what you want. Now, when you apply that to your church or your people, you learn the secret from all culture and from the Bible. What you're going to use to make your people love you and never leave you. It can be too far, too much, or too bad, or the right amount. That depends on you. Now you think you can apply a certain thing with your ministry?
Still, Father John, love them and show Christ's love to them. And that's all we can do. Yeah.
I think so, Ajahn. So we have to love them first. You want they love you. You want to listen to you. We care. We care about them and we listen to us. That's I think so. I try. I try every week. All the time. So we try. Let the members and how to come to listen to the God words and His respect and how we teach, how we try to try to keep the together, come together. So that's I think the point. So have to care about them, love them. Some listen to us, some not listen, but that's we give to God. God can help. Thank you.
And the thing that you spend time with them doing something together is so important. Don't just meet them on Sunday a few hours and that's it. No, you need to spend more time with them, to be part of their life. You know that there's a saying, women have more friends when they get older. Men have less and less friends when they get older. Until the day they die, men don't have any friends. Women have hundreds of friends. What the difference? Why most men die alone, and most women die with the whole family and whole friend around her.
I think men have pride, Ajahn.
Well, friendship, relationship need time, need work. It not happen by itself. You need to invest. You need to work hard on it. I can tell you it's difficult for me to call my old friend or to keep in touch because men always have excuse. You know that I told you the story when we went back to Thailand, my wife go back to her elementary school reunion. I think, what is that? I don't even have any college friend left, but she still go to her elementary reunion after 40, 50 years.
That's
Unbelievable. She still get in touch with her elementary school friends. I went there to that reunion. There's still 20, 30, 40 old lady come. They are friends since they are 5 years old. I don't believe that.
Ajahn, what's your answer on men's? Why men tend to lose a lot of friends?
Men are taught wrong. We always taught that we need to be tough, don't show emotion. And that's wrong. So don't wait until it's too late. You still can go back and reconnect with your old friend. If you can think of them, try to reconnect with them. Because friendship is worth more than anything. And we can learn that with your people too. A little thing that you show that you care, it means so much. Okay, I will go back to the lesson and I will come back to you for sharing more later on. And now the Bible says that we need to know what our people need. And when they compare to the sheep, what the sheep need? Well, they need new grasses. You need to take them out to feed. This is why the shepherd Israel never stay in one spot. They say that the difference between the cow and the sheep is the cow will eat the top tender part of the grass, but most of the sheep and the goats will pull out the whole grass with root, everything, they eat all. So what the difference? When the sheep doing that, the grass cannot come back. It needs a new seed, a new year, new season to regrow it. But for the cow, they can always come back because the cow just eat the top part, like trimming it. So in a month, you can come back to eat the same thing. So the cow don't need a lot of land to feed because the cow just eat part of the grass. The cow never pull up the whole grass. So they always part of it. And when they get the chance in 1 month, it come back again and refeed on the same spot again, but the sheep have to wait until next year. So the shepherd have to travel with the sheep from hill to hill, place to place, far away. The whole year they have to travel a lot of places. And the next year they can come back to the same spot. Hopefully some rain and the grass will grow. So this is a different thing. You need to know that the way the sheep feed so different from the cow and from different animal. You ever heard that now they call hiring the sheep or the goats to clear up the land? The new way, you instead of hire someone to cut your grass, they hire the sheep. The whole shepherd will take the sheep and dump it there for a week. And it just need one time for a year because the sheep will pull up every single grass from that field. And the grass have no chance to regrow until next year. The seed will sprout from the new set of seed. And then the goats or the sheep come back another year. But if you hire the cow every month, the cow have to come back because the cow will eat just the tender part on top of the grass. They won't pull out the whole thing. So this is a different way when you shepherd the sheep. It means that they demand a lot more. They have different way of feeding. And each one demand a certain amount of food, water. And they say that you need to know that when some sheep get sick. And what kind of sickness? Well, some kind of sickness can spread to the whole flock so fast. Some sickness is very common. So you have to see the flock and all animal try to attack the sheep all the time. And you need to take good care of them when they get hurt. You heal them, you take good care of them because they cannot follow the flock when they move. So sometimes you need to carry them, sometimes you need to put them in the cart and pull them or something. Some little one that born and young cannot keep up with the whole flock. And you need to take good care of them. So different condition of different sheep that you know that each one demands certain amount of attention. You cannot treat everyone the same thing. Somebody say that, oh, I have no favor. I don't care who need more time for me or who need more help. I don't give extra. That is the wrong answer. It's always someone who needs more of your attention, someone who needs more help. And you're supposed to help them because they are in the bad shape. And without extra time, extra attention, they won't survive. So you cannot say that I won't give extra attention or extra help to anyone. You will lose the whole flock. So that's something we need to learn. That not all demand the same amount of your time or attention. Not all demand the same help, same teaching. You need to be very flexible working with each one. If you're so rigid, you cannot survive. You need to be very flexible, understandable. And that reminds us, all need different care, different attention in different time of their life. The young one need a lot more attention, and the old one sometimes too, because they're old. You cannot treat everyone the same thing all the time. You need to know, they recommend you that each one, you need to know their background in some way, their personality, spiritual gift, their passion, spiritual maturity, circumstances allow them, joy, sorrow, their need. This is some basic thing that you need to know your flock. Each one of them have different temperament, and each one have different background. They are not the same thing. Even they come from the same family, they still don't have the same personality or same need. This is why you need to know each one differently. It takes time. How to get to know them, talk with them. You spend time with them, talk with them, and you will know more. They will tell you a lot more. And you can make them feel comfortable that you care to know more about them. Sometimes you might need to invite them for lunch or dinner in order to know them better and to have good relationship with each one of them. Personal time, because sometimes in big group, people don't want to share and people don't want to tell you everything about themselves. So you need to have personal time with them, each one of them or their whole family. So make time to do that. And always keep in mind that something they not feel comfortable to share lies away. And you need to respect that until they feel comfortable enough to let you know or to get you in their personal life. Don't pushing. I know some leader of some churches so pushy and people don't feel comfortable. So give them time and move as fast as they're ready. But this is something you need to work on, each one. Not just lump them together that you know all of them. What's else? Now this is the verse that mildly my earth. Perhaps we don't see result in ministry because our efforts are not targeted to the condition of the sheep. Now you see that a lot of American pastors don't stay in any church longer than a few years. In typical American pastor will stay around 3 years before they move on. So in their whole ministry of 30 years, they go to at least 10 churches. So in that short term, they cannot do much. Even to know the people well is impossible. But why they keep moving so much? Because they get a model of business. Or business, American employee will stay in any company around 2-3 years and move on. Why? Well, better pay, better opportunity, something new that they don't want to stuck with the old place forever. But as a pastor, this is not a job, it's a calling. God called you to take care of his flock. It's not a job that you come to earn money. So American pastors need to change the thinking, the model that they're doing ministry. If not, the church have big problem. And now most of American churches have problem. So we see that now this is Paul remind the church in 1 Thessalonians. And we can sum up his teaching here. The people in church, those who are committed, respect, appreciation, peaceful condition. Those who are idle, give them warning. Those who are timid, encourage them. Those who are weak, help them. So you see that Paul see for group of member or disciple. The first group are very committed. They work, they sacrifice, they help, they do a lot. So show them respect, show them appreciation, and keep them peaceful condition. Mean that give them the opportunity to serve more, and don't start any quarreling or start argument with them. Let them do what God called them to do. But the one who don't do anything, Paul say, warn them. God don't want them to be lukewarm. God want them to be either cold or hot. And the one who are timid, like when he saw Timothy, they're not to do a lot of things. Encourage them that God call you. God give you all the ability to fulfill what he called you to do. Give them encouragement. But the one who are sick, who are weak, help them. Don't criticize them. Help them. They need help. Don't hurt them even more. They already hurt. So they need help. So it sums up that not one size fits all. Don't treat everyone and always say that everyone the same. No, everyone needs different things. Like in your family, if you have many children, you know that each one needs different attention at different times. And some always need more help. And that not because you favor them, but they just need a lot more help. So pay attention to that way. Some people in your congregation or your flock will need more attention, more help. And it might be that way a long time before they're strong enough to be on themselves or to help other people. But that's your job. That's what God called you to do. Don't complain that why all the time. So know them well. And some people say, I already know all of them. Well, people change. You need to keep in touch all the time. Their condition, their situation change all the time. You know them last year, maybe not the same thing as now. Because their situation change, their life change, their thinking change. So how you keep up with them? Well, the only way to keep up with them is spend time with them, talk with them, listen to them, get in touch. When you don't get in touch, you won't know what's going on with them. Check on them. Well, besides feeding them, you make sure that they're happy, they're healthy, and always ready to listen to them. Now, there are more Bible verses that tell us, put your heart in the caring of your herd, Proverbs 27:23. What do you think if a man has 100 sheep and one of them go astray? You heard the story about one lost sheep. And what the owner or the shepherd do? He left the 99 in the pen and go search for the lost one. Now people ask that, what more important, 99 or 1? People will say 99 more important than 1 that lost. But you need to know that the 99 is safe in the pen. But the one that lost are in danger. It can die, it can get hurt, but the 99 is protected in the pen. They're not going to get hurt. They're already safe. And a lot of time we think this way. We think that, oh, I have to take care of the 99 instead of go after the lost one. And sometimes we need to change our mind. The 99 is safe, protected in the pen, but the lost one is in danger. That we need to help, find a way to save that lost one. A lot of time we think this doesn't make sense. I don't have time to go after that lost one. I have to take care of the 99. Well, yes and no. Yes means that it's important to take care of the 99, but at the same time, you cannot ignore the lost one. How to do both? You need help. You need help. Trust someone to help you take care of the 99 while you search for the lost too. Sometimes you need to do that. So be flexible. Don't always think that one is more important than another one. And you have to sacrifice one for another one. But sometimes God wants you to save all, to do all. So this is a story that we have to think in different way. Why Jesus say the lost one is so important for him. Why he left the 99 and searched for the lost one. And this is against what modern day churches think or leadership think. The leader always care about the 99 that's still with him. He doesn't care about the one that lost. Why bother? Since I still have the 99. But God cares for the lost one. So we have to rethink why Jesus put the emphasis on the lost one. How to help that. The always the lost one allow us that we ignore them because we too busy with the 99. And this is a good point that I want us to reflect a little bit why Jesus emphasized on the one that lost instead of the 99 that already saved. What you're thinking? Most of us, we care for the 99. Why bother the lost one?
Ajahn, I think that everyone, it is important, even though that the one, it is still important. I mean, it is not about the, I mean, it is not about the, I mean, a quantity, it is a quality, right?
Yeah, everyone important in the sight of God. Everyone worth saving. Even the bad one. Some of us might think it's good that bad one gone.
Ajahn, God have a lot of worker, right? Servants. One, he probably put the one to take care of 99 and take put another one to go search for the one that lost. Or our job is to go out and looking for the lost. All the believer, I mean, all the one that believe in God, or the servants of God, need to go out and look for the one that lost.
Yeah, some people say that we need to divide the job. Some take care of the lost one, some take care of the 99. But sometimes if you alone, how to do it? Well, the shepherd still put the flock in the pen and still go out. It means that the lost still so important for God because it's urgent. And here, Jesus means that the one who already saved, you don't need to worry for them. They're always saved. But the lost one is the one that we need to worry about. I mean, in the spiritual sense, though, we evangelical believe from this teaching that if you save, you're born again, you're always saved. Doesn't matter, not need to worry. That's why the shepherd can leave them, because they already saved. But the lost one not saved, that you need to we have a concern, need to worry for them. They're not saved. They need help. The 99 already saved, born again. It doesn't matter what will happen to them, they always belong to God now. So that is the picture of the one who already saved and not saved yet. But someone asked me, how about the 99 not saved too? So you have a big job. You have the lost inside and the lost outside. Now, it goes back to another story that Jesus tells about, we always call the lost sons. But I say that the correct one should say the lost sons. We always think the younger son lost, but in fact, both the younger and the older one are lost. The one lost outside, another one lost inside. How? The younger one run away to have fun and do all the bad thing and come back. But the older one lost inside mean that they don't really know God. They don't really understand God. They think that they're saved, but they are not, like the Pharisee. The Pharisee teach the Bible, think that they're servant of God, but Jesus said they lost inside the temple. They don't understand God. They don't know God. They just read the words of God without understanding. They lost too. You look at the big brother, they think that the brother think that I'm good. I never run away. I always stay with you. Why you don't treat me very well? Well, the older son lost too. So it's both lost son, inside and outside. And here Jesus means that a lot of teacher of the law, the Pharisee, the priest, they lost inside the temple. They don't find God. They don't know God. And the simple people lost outside the temple, but they come back to God. We will have both kind of people with us all the time. How you help the lost one?
Calling for them, searching for them.
Yep. You need to go where they're lost. You cannot sit in church and keep praying that they will come back. They won't come back. You need to go out and find them. Jesus went to the tax collector house, eat with them, and bring them to salvation. Jesus went to Zacchaeus city to find Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus not coming to Jesus. Jesus go to see him, find him. And that's the way people lost everywhere. But we need to find them where they are. Some people say, I will report to the police, and now I wait. A lot of time police do nothing too. They wait too. You know, there's a law. If you lost someone, you have to wait for how many hours before they classify them as lost?
48 hours, John.
48 hours. In that 48 hours, a lot of things can happen. For a lot of situations, 48 hours already too late. So why the police demand 48 hours? Well, they have a reason that maybe someone just run away. They might come back by themselves. Or sometimes they not run away, they just forget to come home because they have a good time with friends somewhere. Now, what's else new that you learned in this chapter? Oh, you already know everything and practice it all the time?
No. Learn about love, about give, and about respect and also be the role model, be the best role model that you can be.
Yeah, we can sum up that it's not an easy job. But when God calls you, God will equip you and help you to do your job. You cannot do it yourself. It's too much. And the price to pay is so high. Without love, you cannot do it. I told you that in America, 100 people go to seminary. Only 50 can graduate. Another 50 drop out. Out of the 50 who graduate, just allow 20 really serve God in any church, in any ministry. Another 30% do different job. They never want to try to do ministry. Just 20 of them will do ministry. And after 5 years, 10 left, another 10 quit. And after 10 years, maybe 2 left. Another 8 left, never come back. So about 1 to 2% will keep doing it until they die. So it's not a good statistics. But yes, Nathan.
Ajahn, do we know what's the main reason that people drop out and people quit, not doing what their intention was supposed to do?
For me personally, I think that most of my friends who quit because they come with the wrong concept of serving God. They have different expectations. I believe that everyone who starts the seminary come because they love God and they want to do something for God. But they don't realize how sacrifice they have to give, how difficult it is to prepare themselves. And they calculate that they cannot sacrifice that much. They don't want to live the lifestyle that way all their life. So that's fair. About half will quit even before they graduate. But another half who graduate still cannot survive. Because of what? Another 50% that graduate and cannot survive because a lot of them say that because their family not prepared. Their wife, their children cannot live this lifestyle. Low pay, hard work, no appreciation. So a lot of family, they say they quit to save their family. A lot of them say so. So you see that it's not just the student, it's their spouses, their children need to be prepared to sacrifice too. If not, they cannot survive. Yes, Kat.
Yeah, John, thank you for this lesson tonight for the 101 loss. And then I remember my trip went to the Canada. That's almost similar because they lost, one loss. So we tried to organize the house to house to do service. And then we have 2 patients. They are sick, like cancer. And then we went to the house, pray for it, do service. We have a good news today. We heard that cancer cells are gone, no more cancer.
Wow. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, keep praying for that. Amen.
Yes, Ajahn, to me, I for the past couple of months, maybe I would say 5 or 6 months ago, I was about to quit too, Ajahn, because of the lifestyle, because of the things that I had to change in my life for the past 30-something years, like that I've been doing this for the past 30-something years. And then all of a sudden I have to change. And also my job too, because I do a lot of the promotions. Promoting the place, how to lure all the people come into the place where I work. So I quit all that. I left all that too. And then at my job now, I have to take less pay, there's less money. And then there's a lot of things that I lost so much. And then also about the lifestyle that I have to change, into adapt to the new lifestyle now. So yes, but I thank God I still can stand.
Yes, there's a price to pay to serve God, but it's worth it.
Yes.
Jesus said that if anyone not loving me more than their father, mother, brother, sister, they not deserve me. Anyone who want to be my disciple need to deny themselves, carry their cross, and follow me. That's a high price, but it's worth it.
Yes.
Yes, Nathan.
And can you explain more detail? What does it mean carrying your cross? Deny yourself?
Well, you see, we all have personal desire. But in order to be Jesus' disciple, to serve him, we need to put ourselves at the back. God comes first. God is always number one, not ourselves anymore. Deny ourselves means that we are not number one anymore. God is number one now. And carry your cross means that your own burden is not Jesus' cross, your own responsibility that God called you to do. You have to carry it your whole life. You cannot dump it. God called you to carry that burden for him, to serve him, to do a certain thing. That's your cross. And follow Jesus means that his way, his teaching until the end. Not carry to do something else somewhere else, but follow Jesus' way until the end. Where Jesus carried the cross to? Golgotha.
Yeah, since we learned this lesson tonight, so I feel like my cross, I can feel like a little bit lighter. Yeah. Other than that, I feel like a very heavy, Ajahn. So heavy.
And no more strength.
And no more power, no more. But since tonight Ajahn lecture all, then I feel like 100 pounds less, and then I can carry. So hopefully I will carry until the end.
You have more power.
Yeah, sure do, yes. Thank you.
God will not put a burden more than what you can carry.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Trust God. You not walk there alone. You heard the story of a footprint on the sand.
Yes, yeah. That is not my footprint.
Yeah, Jesus carried you.
Yeah.
When it's so difficult, you see just one pair of footprints, you say, where is Jesus? He there, he carried you. Jesus is always with us. You see, I have been serving God more than 40 years, and I never disappointed. God faithful. So I want to share with you and encourage all of you. You just start. You still young. You still have a long way to go. So don't give up. Keep going. Okay, you have anything else to share before we finish with the class and take a break? Hopefully they find out some of the secret to make people love you more, to trust you more.
Ajahn, the secret is Jesus. You love Jesus. You have Jesus love in you, and you be able to love people that don't love you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of loving other people start with you love God. If you love God, you cannot love anyone.
Ajahn, you think that our Zoom here will be for the next couple of years? Will be the next maybe 3, 4, 5 years?
You know that when I started school 37 years ago, I think it will last 2 years.
Yes.
I never dreamed that it will last this long. 37 years, it still go on.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I started the school just to train my leader to help me.
Right.
And I think 2, 3 years is good enough, but it keep going on.
Yes. I mean, as if it's God's will, I think He might want me to move down to, as well. As Visalia. If it's His will, there is so many people needs help. So I think if His will, then He might want me to move down there. So that's why I'm thinking if the Zoom is still on, then I like to I just study as much as I can.
Well, God answer prayer, keep praying.
Yes.
Ajahn, I thought some of your old students live in Visalia.
The one that I know, it is, Chai Pu.
Oh, Chai Pu, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I think God called Ajahn here is for purpose, not just ministering to the church, but to train all the leaders. Yeah, train all the leaders for the, for the work of the Lord.
Yes.
I see most of Ajahn students, somewhere almost a lot of percentage are serving in the church, Ajahn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Yes.
One thing, so we thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, God, so, help us out, we come very, very, very long way. So, even English, I'm not speaking, but Ajahn help a lot, how teach us how to minister to one another, and start small group. Thank God until 20 years already. So thank you, Ajahn, that's very, very, very happy. So that's why, keep going. A lot of time try to back up, but God say no. So thank you, Ajahn.
You're very welcome, and thank God for everything.
Amen.
Okay, I will give you a break and we will come back later on.
It or not, Mian people we like to do like house worship. What do you think? It's a good thing to do, or
Well, it depends on the purpose. The early church have meeting at house all the time too. But they meet to learn Bible, to pray, and to worship. If you do that for the purpose of worship, Bible study, fellowship, and get closer to God, I think it's a good thing to do. Yes.
a lot of time now, if they have one family members get sick or something, it's not right. They will have people come over the house and mainly most of the time just it goes with a Bible, you know, have Bible teaching and song and hymns.
Yeah, you see, the Bible says that when someone gets sick, invite the elder to come to pray. Maybe your group expand more than just come to pray. You also have worship too. So it's okay, good thing if it help the family in some way to support them. You know that when someone gets sick in the family, they're so lonely, afraid, and if you can go there to show your support, I think it's a good thing. Just don't go to be the burden, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, let's go back to church history now. You know that section 11 is almost 150 pages, 147 pages. It's about the modern day churches. It starts from the 19th century to the 21st century. Now we are on the 22nd. So this is around 200 years of the church. You might be surprised that why there is a lot of information here. Well, because it's closer to us. It's very modern to us. It's about us. It's just our ancestor and our time. Most of us born in the 19 something. So this is our time. The church in our time, and we passed a few World War I, World War II here. And we almost hit the World War III here too. And how the church survived. Now, when you talk about in the early 1800s, you look at Christian in Europe, the English, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, they go all over the world to conquer the land. You see that they go to Southeast Asia. The French take over Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and almost take Thailand. The English start in take over India, Cambodia, India, Burma, and almost get to Thailand too. So you see that the English, the French get to Asia, and the south of Asia, you see the Spanish take Philippines, the Portuguese take the Dutch take the Indonesia. And come to America, the Spanish take most of Central and South America, and even California, the Spanish take them. The French take part of the Eastern Europe and the South, and Central South America, like Brazil, was taken by the Portuguese. How they go all over the world? They go at a Christian country. They say that God told them to conquer the land everywhere, and most of the chiefs will have priests, monks, go with them. The soldier kill the people and make them submissive under the colony of the king, the queen of Spain, of England, of France. And the priest will come after and tell them that you want to get baptized, if not, you die. So the people don't have a lot of option. This is the time that the church expands so much, but you can see that they're not a real believer. And the church expand that way throughout more than 1,000 years by source. For people to get baptized, get all the number, and they don't care that people understand the teaching or not. They don't care. They just care about the number. And that for the king, for the queen, for the government, and it's sad even the church don't care about people know the truth or not. But the good thing about this 200 years is a lot of revival. Last week we talked about big revival in America. The first time is before the War of Revolution. The second revival is on the War of Civil War, time of Civil War. And here we will see a lot of new revival happen in Europe and also in America. And always that before the time of big war, of big disaster happened. Why God allowed that? Well, we think that throughout the study, God prepared the church and the people. So they're ready for the big difficult time. Without God prepare them, a lot of Christians cannot survive. And a lot of them will lose their faith. But still, even God helped them and prepare them. A lot of them still not ready. I say that in this time, around the 19th century, we have a lot of war going on all over the world, especially the war of independence. You see that the war of French Revolution happened in around 18th century too. How the French Revolution, you heard about the people. The people rebel against the king, the royal family. The people rebel and kill all the royal family. So French don't have royal family anymore. They kill most of them. The rest run away. And the French ruled by republic become independent. But the church, the Catholic Church, still control the big part of France. Even the people set themselves free, but the church still have a certain part. When I say the church still have a certain part, it's not about people. It's just about the culture, tradition. They still hold on because from the 15th, 16th, 17th century, the church gets so rich. Why? Because the teaching of the church. They teach all the old people that if you want to make sure to go to heaven, give money to the church. And the leader will open the door of heaven for you. So make sure that you go to heaven. Your spouses, your family, your children, grandchildren, go to heaven by paying the price for the leader, for the Pope to open the door of heaven for your family. And if your ancestor already dead in hell, you pay extra. The Pope will go and sneak in, open the hell door, sneak your ancestor out of hell and take to heaven. Pay extra. So this is how the church gets so rich. By telling people that the Pope and the leader have the key of heaven and hell. And the Pope always hang two big key by his waist wherever he go to let it ringling, the sound will remind people, I have the key of hell and heaven. Pay the money, and I will make sure that all your family go to heaven. Nobody left in hell. So this is how the church gets so rich. The land, the money, property of all the poor old lady, poor old man, or their children, grandchildren who scared off by the church that your ancestor crying in hell. How can you live and let your ancestor die in hell? You need to find money to redeem them. Only the church, the leader, can set your ancestor free. And they even print out the diploma of salvation and go let the priest go all over the world in Europe to sell it to the poor, because the poor cannot give a big sum of money. So you buy installment, $100 a time of $1,000 a time, accumulate it until you have enough to bail out yourself or anyone out of hell. So they sell it in a small number now. And the priest print out and sell it all over Europe. The church gets so rich. They build all the beautiful temple and the cathedral all over Rome, and also the Basilica of Peace of Saint Peter, all the beautiful, everything come from selling indulgence, the money to save them from hell. The church so rich, have so much money and so much power. And this is the time that thing going on. A lot of things change after the revolution and the Reformation. After that, now in many parts of Europe, like in Germany, they are not Roman Catholic anymore. They call themselves Lutheran Church. The theology of Lutheran Church is different from the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church now adapt themselves and teach more Bible, teach more Christianity, but still they teach the way that benefit the church or the leader, not the people. How they teach them? They say that you get salvation by grace, by the gift from God. The Catholic Church teaches this way. It's not just, your salvation is just a down payment. God give a down payment for your salvation. And now you need to pay installment every month. Like when you have a house, you get a down payment, 10%, 5%, or 20%. And every month you need to pay your mortgage. If you don't pay it, the bank take away your house. Now the church teaches that way. Jesus gives a down payment for your salvation. But every month, every week, you need to come to church to pay your down payment, to pay your installment. If you stop doing that, God take away your salvation. So this is the way they control people. You start by grace, but later on you need to work for your salvation. This is the Roman Catholic Church teach throughout history, even now. How the Lutheran Church? The Lutheran Church come from Martin Luther, who said that salvation is the gift from God, 100%, not down payment. You get the house free from God, period. You don't earn it, you don't buy it, you don't pay for it. God gives you as a free gift. Now, a lot more in Europe will start that teaching. John Calvin going to be the leader, and later on the church that call themselves Presbyterian Church, Reformed Church, will based on John Calvin teaching. They have the same salvation, mean that a gift from God. And John Calvin is more on predestination, mean that your salvation is prepared ahead by God to save you. It's not by accident. You're saved by grace, but by God's plan. Whatever happened, you're going to be saved because God planned for that. It's not you. You don't do anything about it. So the church in Europe will go on that way, or the Protestant. Now the word Protestant comes from the Catholic. Roman Catholic called the new reformer the Protestant. But the group that were called Protestant like it and call themselves Protestant. And this is the name that we call ourselves Protestant later on. But Protestant is a big group against the Roman Catholic. So it sums up the Lutheran, the Methodist, Episcopal, later on all groups that are not Roman Catholic or Orthodox are called Protestant. Now, in that 19th, 20th century, there is new group that coming up with new teaching. And it all start with the right group, right church, but the leader have some idea that, well, they use their own thinking. And later on, more than their own thinking, they claim that the angel come to them and tell them the secret that most of the churches don't know. Like the Latter-day Saint is later on we call the Mormon Church, started by Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith claimed that the angel come to him with the golden plate and teach him how to translate the Bible into Book of Mormon. After he finished the job, the angel take away a golden tablet. If not, he might sell it and make some money. But the angel took the golden plate away from him. He just have the translation. But some of his friends claim that Joseph Smith worked in the print shop. And the Book of Mormon is the story that somebody wrote, the novel. And Joseph Smith just stole that book and claimed that the angel gave him that book. So that some argument going on that Joseph Smith did not translate that book. He just stole it from someone that wrote the story about the American Indian met Jesus and have a new idea of many things. But even the real angel come to Joseph Smith, I doubt it. It's not from God. Angel or Satan and bad devil also are angel. And they go, all these angels go everywhere, go to Muhammad, go to Sangyamun, go to Buddha to tell them what they want to know and help them start a new religion against the real teaching of God. So the Latter-day Saint is start around the 19th century to not long ago. And Joseph Smith have a lot of history back from New York, run away from New York because he have affair with another woman and her husband tried to kill him. He ran away to Chicago, from Chicago, run away all the way until he end up in Utah. And end up with 24 wives, several hundred children. And this is why he allowed all his disciples to have at least 4 wives. And if you want more than 4, they say no problem, divorce the old one and marry a new one. So keep it not over 4 at a time. You can have 20, 30, but keep divorcing the old one. And then you always have a new one to make up for 4. That is teaching. And the disciple love that and follow him. And we don't want to spend much time about his teaching, though. We just say that when we people have a lot of freedom, they start thinking of new weird things, and Satan can use them to spread wrong teaching into the church. Now, the Russian Orthodox is the branch of Greek Orthodox that you remember when Constantine built the new capital in a new temple in Turkey today. They call it Constantinople. He intended to move the capital from Rome to Constantinople, but he died and his descendants did not like the idea. They still love to stay in Rome. And the church don't want to move with him. The Roman Catholic Church always call themselves Roman Catholic, the religion of the Roman. But the Greek Orthodox is in the East, and a lot of Greeks joined the church that side. And later on, when they have to compete into Eastern Europe, the Roman Catholic Church fought the Eastern Europe to do everything to satisfy the Western part of Europe that the Roman Catholic control. But the Greek Orthodox offered them, if you adopt Greek Orthodox, we give you freedom. You don't need to be called Greek Orthodox. You can call Russian Orthodox, German Orthodox, and any dog that you like. And you have freedom. You don't need to submit to us. But you just share our theology and a lot of ideas. So a lot of Eastern Europe will adopt Greek Orthodox and call themselves Russian Orthodox or any Orthodox to fit their need, more freedom. And the church spread in Eastern Europe. And what the main difference between the Roman Catholic Church and the Greek Orthodox? Well, theologically, they're not different, but the way they celebrate a lot of ceremony, a little bit different. The Roman Catholic worship idol. They have idol everywhere in their temple, in their church. But the Greek Orthodox have only painting. They worship painting. They don't have idol. And they say that the Roman Catholic is worship idol against the Bible. And we don't worship idol, but they also worship painting of all kind of saint, all kind of things that they draw and worship, pray to. So their theology not much different though. And there is more detail about the Russian Orthodox that start in Russia. The king of Russia feel that the Orthodox fit his need better. He don't need to submit to the Rome Church, but get all the freedom to run his own church independently. So they adopt the Orthodox idea. And how about politics? What happened in that 200 years around the 19th and 20th century? And more people moved from different parts, and the Orthodox Church spreading, because in fact, both the Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church support people to have many children as you can. Why? They say because that is a blessing from God to have many children as you can have. So that is the way the church expand and have more and more people. They count everyone that they baptize as baby, as member. They don't count adult member, they count baby from birth. 8 days who get baptized into the church to be member, full member. And that's why they have so many number. And now politically, in politics, a lot of politicians use the church as the tool to expand their power. Fascist is another idea of what you call, they have different name in different countries, but the real meaning of fascism is dictator. Dictatorship means one guy make themselves as God and control the whole country. And everyone else just obey them. He is God. In Germany, fascists use the name of Nazi. In Italy, they call fascists, and many other parts of Europe call themselves different names. And all the leaders are dictators that we know of. They control all the power, and everyone needs to obey them. If not, they kill them. So they copy the idea from the church. The Roman Catholic Church have a pope who control everything and can kill anyone and say whatever they want to say. Now, fascist is a copy of the Roman Catholic Church, but in politics. And any country who copy that use the same idea. The leader is the supreme God who control the country. And in Germany, the leader is Hitler, call themselves Nazism. And the worst thing about Nazism is not just nationalism. All this group talking about going to make their country superpower. because that people are unique, special people of God. But in the same time, the Nazi will go against foreigner, immigrant, and the biggest group in Germany that so rich and control all the economic is the Jew. 5 million Jews live in Germany, and they are rich, and they control the economic, politics, everything. So Hitler used them as a target, used them as a scapegoat. Tell all the Germans that the Jew destroy us, the Jew control us. We need to kill the Jew. Get rid of them. And we can be superpower again. So this is the idea of Nazi. That's why later on they killed 6 million Jews. And the worst thing is, Hitler had a secret plan with the Pope in Rome. A lot of Catholics will argue that no, the Pope did not do anything. It just have no choice, just get along Hitler. And they might argue that because the Pope takes side with Hitler, so the Pope saved many Jews. You know, yes, some, but in the same time, they all know that Hitler have a big plan to kill all Jews. And the Vatican and the Pope know everything, but why they keep quiet for that 20-something years? Well, you know that a secret plan is Hitler promised Pope that if you support me in that World War II, and with the Nazi killing of Jews, keep quiet, I will give you the freedom from Italy. Make your city a new country out of Italy. You know that before that, Rome is just a city in Italy. But by the secret agreement with Hitler, Hitler at that time controlled part of Europe and part of Italy with Mussolini. And Hitler make a plan to give freedom to Vatican, to make Vatican an independent country in Europe. And Pope say, okay, if you promise that, I keep quiet, shut up. And don't bother you with killing of Jews or killing with all the innocent people in World War. So this is why the Vatican have a dark secret that they keep quiet throughout World War II. When Hitler killing beside Jews a lot of innocent, millions and millions of them, the Vatican don't say a word, don't argue anything, because of that secret agreement. To be independent, to be a new country, Vatican City, Vatican country. Now, another thing that happened in the 1920s and 20th century, we call ecumenism. It means that the idea of trying to unite all Christians into one big group. Well, it worked in some way, but theologically, it doesn't work. But politically, they want some kind of all Christian churches to join. And later on, they want to expand to Buddhism, Hinduism, and Islam, and anything that call themselves religion. Why? Because they found out that if we join together, we have power to fight back politicians and all other groups, because the church is so big. When you join all churches all over the world, you control almost everything, and so powerful. And even every government will listen to you. So it started at a good intention, but later on it was used in the wrong way to destroy real believers and become a political power of a certain group of people. Now the Catholics say that we're big enough. We don't need every religion. We can join all Catholics from all over the world to be a united Catholic Church under one Pope. Well, this is that so successful because that theology teaching that all priests have to be ordained by Pope alone. You cannot ordain locally by yourself. The Pope will ordain every single priest all over the world, directly or indirectly. So this is the way the Pope control all Catholic Church everywhere in the world. Because the headquarters need to stamp on your ordination and in your installation, in your leadership, the Pope from Rome need to put a stamp on that approval. So this is the control all the church and all the money and all the power. So tight. How about theology in the Western world in that 200 years? You can guess. The church will go more, they call liberal. What liberal mean? We have this idea from politics. You call liberal or conservative in politics. Liberal mean that anything go. Anyone that people want, let them do it. That means liberal. But conservative will stick with certain old idea or tradition that come from politics. But when they get into church, the church divide that way too. The liberal Christian or theology will be anything go. Whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to do it. That's called liberal. The conservative side of Christianity will be stick with tradition, stick with culture, stick with old teaching. Now you see, the church follow politics. Politics is that way, and the church adopt that in the 20th century. Now you can go to any church. One church will have both branches of conservative and liberal, but more churches will split out because they cannot stand one another. So the church will split out and clearly declare themselves, this is liberal church, this is conservative church. So you can see clearly, not in the same church, but different church. But you can say that Lutheran will have a branch of conservative and a branch of liberal. And the Presbyterian will have the same thing. This is conservative Presbyterian. This is liberal Presbyterian. You can go on, even Baptist. A lot of Baptists will go on to call themselves liberal Baptist and conservative Baptist. But the word liberal is not so popular among all the churches. So even they're theologically liberal, they don't call themselves liberal, because they know that this is not a good brand name. But when you go to their church, you can guess they are liberal right away from how they run their church, how the preacher preach, and what they say will clearly show that they are liberal or conservative. Now, another group beside liberal and conservative, a new group called themselves fundamentalism. This is extreme conservative, mean that they go all the way even more than conservative. They're very strict and very verse by verse of the Bible, they say. They say that whatever the Bible say, we do it. This is their plan. This is what they believe. But in practical sense, I never found any fundamentalist church literally do everything word by word according to the Bible as they claim. For example, when Jesus said that when your eye commits sin, pluck it out. I never see any church that people lost all their eye. None. So it means that even they claim that they believe the Bible literally, every single word, they don't do it. They don't do it. They don't believe it. They just claim that. Jesus said that if your hand commits sin, chop it off. I don't see any church that people lost their hand. So I mean that they don't exactly do what they say they believe. They just pick what they want to believe. And whatever they don't want to believe, they don't believe, they don't do it. So this is, you might call them hypocrite, pretending to be very conservative or literally believe in every single verse of the Bible, but they don't. But a lot of things they say that we go to the tradition, culture, back to the first century, but we found out it's not exactly the thing that they claim. But I believe in their good intention. But I think that their follower or leader don't exactly understand the Bible. But they become a popular movement. Now we move on to modern day Christianity. We look at both Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant. You will see that they have more meeting. Why? Because they know that they need to update themselves for the modern time. People in modern time have a lot of knowledge and a lot of freedom. If the church not adapt well, the church will be out of sync and cannot survive. When I say cannot survive, I don't mean that they don't have money, they're poor, they go hungry. No, they have a lot of money. They have a lot of land. But you go to all the big, beautiful churches, you cannot find anyone sit there to listen to their sermon. Or nobody's there to join their ceremony. It becomes an empty church. Big, beautiful church with all the money, all the power, but nobody go. So why you have a church, beautiful building, and nobody go? Now they try to lure people back to church. What can you do? Now I went to all the big, beautiful old churches in Europe, and the only group that I see in those churches are tourists, not worshippers, tourists. What the tourists go there at me? I'm tourist. I go there to take picture, visit all the old churches, to see all the history. But no worshiper there, only tourists there. Yes, they have monks, they have people who run the ceremony by themselves, like a show. They get paid because the church have a lot of old treasure, land, property that they invest, and the interest on the investment is more than enough to survive eternity, to feed all the monk or the priest or the convent or the nun. They have enough money to feed them forever. But what the good with beautiful building, a lot of people that serving them, but no member. People don't go to church to worship anymore. How you claim that a church, since no people go there to worship God? Nobody go there to study Bible. It's not a church anymore. It become a museum. You might call that a beautiful word, museum now. I went to so many churches in Europe in the last 2 months. And I feel like I go to museum. It's sad. But the church, the Roman Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church try to adapt themselves to survive in the 20th and now the 21st century. They want to attack young new people, but it's not so successful. Now, in the second part, we'll talk about some important theologian and preacher that come into the picture in the 20th century. You might heard about Spurgeon. He a very famous English preacher. And he wrote a lot of books that today we still read and study about his preaching, his theology. And all these people are smart guys who used to be professor or philosopher before they became a preacher. So they have a lot of knowledge. And they preach to millions and millions of people who listen to them. And in those days, the preacher that popular need to know how to use a lot of philosophy, beautiful words, and know how to speak and debate very well. And all these preachers have training in the best university of England, America, and many parts of Europe. We just know that he's so popular and he preached a lot, and a lot of people follow him, want to listen to him. People say that maybe in those days there is no entertainment of anything. So the preacher come to preach with all the music, with all the singer and all the show. People want to come to join the show, free music, and a good speech. And this is the only entertainment of the year for people in those days to have. So they come. At first, they might not care much, but God's still working in their heart. And a lot of people come to salvation through those preaching. But you need to add a lot of entertainment into the program. And you can, in modern day copy, you can go to Billy Graham crusade several years ago. Billy Graham will copy the style of a revival or preaching of those famous preachers in the 20th century, early 20th century. The program will start with beautiful music and famous singer, and then some good testimony of famous person before the preacher will come and preach. So this is a kind of entertainment of those days. And Billy Graham, the last 50 years, worked very well because people come to enjoy the music, the famous singer, and the famous people who give testimony. But now you see that after Billy Graham died, or when he old, this style of preaching almost disappear. Because why? Modern day people have all the entertainment through internet, and they have so many options. So they don't want to go to those crusades anymore. And if they want, they can use internet to listen to sermon. They don't even need to go to church anymore. So now things change. And all the preachers need to adapt to reach out to new generation of people. Now you see that the last 20, 30 years is a big thing. In the past, things take 100 years, 200 years to change. But now it's just a few years, things change so fast. In a few years, 1 or 2 years now, one thing that used to work 2 years ago now is out of date. New technology come out every 6 months now. How can you move fast enough to adjust to new changes that coming every 6 months? If you buy top of the line computer 6 months ago, now it's out of date now. New technology come out faster, better than 6 months ago. And now the church try to adjust, to adapt, to survive. And Moody, you heard the Bible school called Moody in Chicago. It started with this guy, Mr. Moody. And you see that all this guy is not exactly American. You might say that he from the old New England. What that means? Puritan stock mean that the first group of people who moved to America are Puritan, call themselves Puritan, mean that they run away from Church of England for freedom in the new land. And they call themselves Puritan, mean that they're so pure, they're so innocent, they're so special for God. But we found out that it's not so special. But anyway, they produce a lot of preachers because they're the first group. And a lot of them are educated. So Moody also come from that. his ancestor there, he come from the Unitarian church or relate to them. But we know that his preaching is not that Unitarian. The word Unitarian means that new teaching that coming out saying that God so loved the world. You can be anything, believe in anything. You go to hell for a short time and then God will go to hell to set you free. This is the teaching of Unitarian or Universal Church. This is not Bible, not biblical. But this is the way, the thinking that from John 3:16, God so loved the world. So God cannot let anyone stay in hell forever. This is their own thinking. It's not the Bible. But this is the foundation of the church. And it's so popular in the early 20th century because a lot of new people think that, oh, it makes sense. God so loved the world. So God cannot let anyone in hell forever. But it's not the biblical teaching. And many young preachers will coming out with some of new idea. But the problem is the teaching is not on the Bible. They use human thinking. And this is not new. Even in the first, second, third century, we found out all this idea already there. Whose idea is this? Well, it goes back to Satan. Satan put idea into human head to make them doubt God, like they put idea in Eve's head in the Garden of Eden. Did God say that? So Eve started to doubt, and she make up the answer. It's not what God said. Satan asked Eve that, is God tell you not to eat any fruit in the garden? God never said that. But Eve will answer, God said, not only don't eat, but don't touch. And God never said that too. So now this is the way Satan put down in human head. And then they bring man to think that, oh, I can get a better answer. And then start a new teaching, not from the Bible, not from God, but from Satan themselves. But Satan makes sure that man think that it is his own idea. He put that idea in Buddha, Muhammad, Sang Yan Moon, Joseph Smith, and many, many other people later on to think that God used them and give a better teaching to them. It's not done there. Even in the time of early church, we have seen those people too. Now more and more people, preacher that I put the name here, the education, the theology, you don't need to know exactly about them much, but I just want to share with you because they have the impact in the later on church in Germany, in England, in America. But now I want you to sum up. Some of them are preacher children, all come from preacher family, but they are the one who teach some philosophy against the church the most. Why? Well, they say they see the dad, the father who are preacher, who not live according to what they teach. And all these people come with the idea that, well, if my dad, who are the preacher, cannot live what he teach, why should I? So they come up with new teaching that satisfy the people need more than the Bible. And many of them will come up later on. Even later on, I will put Karl Marx here. You might hear the name Karl Marx. Karl Marx is the author of the book that become communism. Textbook later on. And a lot of people will use the idea of Karl Marx to make communism, like in Russia. Stalin will take the idea of Karl Marx to use in Russia as Russian communism. And Mao Zedong will use idea of Karl Marx to make communism for Chinese. And many on and on. Karl Marx is a Jew, the son of the rabbi. And he intends to lay a lot of things from the book of Isaiah that predict that when the Messiah comes to this world, the world will have peace. Everyone going to be equally treated by God and equally share all the resources. That's the prophecy from the book of Isaiah. But they forgot that without Jesus, all these things will never come true because man cannot do this thing. Only Jesus can do it. But Karl Marx said that, well, we borrow the idea from the book of Isaiah and try to make heaven on earth by communism. Share everything and no rich people, no poor people. We are equal. That is the dream from the Bible. This world cannot do it without Jesus. The communists try to do it, and they found out that they fail. Even today, we know that they cannot. The time that man will be equal and share everything is the time when Jesus ruled the world in peace. Only Jesus can do that. But the 20th century is the time that all Christians try to make the Bible, the teaching of the Bible practical, and try to reach out to everyone and make everyone see the prophecy in the Bible that we can live in that dream in this world. But they forget that without God help, everything impossible, because man is still sinner. Man will never share what they have, sincerely or voluntarily. You need to force them. So what the communism successful? The communism successful, it make everyone equally poor. Nobody rich, but everyone poor. Everyone don't have enough. Everyone will need help. So this is not a good success. It makes things worse. Now, what the church do about all this? Well, as I say that the church divide into liberal and conservative and fundamentalist. The liberal part of the church will support communism and all the socialist idea that we should share. We should try by use the political way to share what resources that we have, make peace on earth and make heaven on earth. But the conservative part of the church say that we cannot do it without God, without Jesus. And the conservative is correct. Man cannot do it alone without God. United Nations try to do it for the 75 years, and we know they fail so bad. You know that in front of United Nations building in New York, they scribe the word from the book of Isaiah on the wall of United Nations. Man will take their sword and make to be plow chair, and the lion will sleep with the lamb. They all will eat grass. No war, no hunger. That's just a dream that they quote from the book of Isaiah. They forgot that they lose one of the main ingredients on those prophecy, Jesus. They cannot do it themselves without Jesus. So many more people that I quote them here for you to get idea that people try to make heaven on earth, and all the smart guy will come with all idea or proposal to make peace on earth, to make all human beings share what they have, but they all fail. They try, at least they try. And the idea go on even today. If man will not voluntarily to share, we need to force them to share. This is the idea that go on the communism. And later on, all the fascists will come back, the politician on the dictatorship will spring up all over the world. And the strong men call themselves that I will help God to make peace on earth. But we know that they are the liar. They just come to take advantage of poor people and make themselves rich. And that all over the world in the past century. But more name about more preacher who try to come out and teach the people with new idea, new thinking that man still can do it. Well, at least they try. And they think that without God, they can do it themselves. And this is the idea of new theology, that God give us the wisdom, God give us the mean, God give us the power to do it. So we have to do it. And you see that more and more idea coming out, and none of them work for the 20th century. And the end, World War happened. Because every side think that they do the good thing for God and for the world, for their people. But it turns out it doesn't turn out the way they want, so they make war. They say that before we have peace, we need to start war. Without war, nobody want to talk, nobody want to submit, nobody want to work out the differences. So we have to have a war. So we have World War I, maybe 5 to 10 million people die in Europe. Then we have World War II that maybe 50 million people die. In Russia alone is 15 million Russians die. And 8 million Jews. And plus many other in France, Germany, England, several more million people die. Or in World War II, at least 50 million people die. For what? To prove that they believe their idea is good. We lost 50 million people in World War II. It's not a few people, a lot. That directly die because of war, but the indirectly die because of war is maybe 20 more million of starvation, of disease, of many other things. So World War II alone maybe claim almost 100 million people life. For what? To prove that man can do what they want to do without God. And now you go to Europe and you ask them why you stop going to church. You know that in 19th century, Christians in Europe sent out missionaries all over the world, to Asia, to Africa. Missionaries come from Europe, from England, from Germany, from many other countries, even from America. But today you go to Europe, the church is empty. Rarely anyone go to church now. So people ask the question, why? All the Christians in Europe, where are they? Why they stop going to church? And the easy answer that people say is, World War I killed the church. World War II killed all the Christians. So nobody left. You like the answer? 2 World War killed the church and killed Christianity. They say that because God did not save them, God did not answer their prayer and make them suffer. World War I killed 20 million Europeans. World War II killed 100 million Europeans. Why God allowed this thing to happen to Christians in Europe? Why God allowed the war? Well, you go back to the Old Testament and find the answer that because those people did not obey God, they rebelled against God, and they think that they can do anything what they want. So God teach them a good lesson. Do they learn? Well, Their children, grandchildren who born after them don't learn the lesson. The ancestor might learn it, but their children don't learn it. So they still not come back to church, come back to God. The church still dead. Or the church still empty. Big, beautiful cathedral, big church, empty. But the church is not poor. The church have a lot of money, a lot of land, a lot of property. The church can last forever because of those old money. But when you don't have people who attend the church, what's the purpose of the church? It's sad. Now we want to wrap up what happened in the 20s, and now we go up to the 21st century. What is the future of the church? They say that American church still do okay. The church in Europe still dead. The church in Asia start growing. The church in Africa is exciting. Now, what hope that we have in church in Asia and in Africa? You think that they're going to send missionaries back to Europe, to America? We don't know what the answer about the future of the church in the 21st century. And here in my lecture, we'll have more preacher, more name, what they teach, and the idea that impact the church in the 20th century and beyond. If you still want to read the idea about the thinking. There's so much information here. I will let you take time to read through them. And don't worry about trying to remember all the year or the name. Just get the idea about them and what they try to do and what impact they have for the church and for all their teaching. And that's good enough. There's a million more names that you will come across. Yeah, a lot of famous names in the 19th and 20th century. Most of them later on going to be American. Some of them still German and some English people, but most of them going to be American in the 20th century because American become more powerful with all the seminary and college that we have. So the movement will move from Europe to America. The American church is going to be stronger, richer. And now in the 20th century, almost all missionaries will come from America to go to all over the world, even back to Europe too. Now you see that God will start using churches in America in the 20th century. You might guess that half of the missionaries all over the world here today come from America, North America, about half. So this is a big number. Southern Baptists alone have more than 3,000 missionaries all over the world. And that is the biggest group that send out missionaries all over the world. So now the church future come to America. In America, we have more than 100,000 churches. And we have about more than 50% of Americans who claim themselves to be active Christian. And another 30% claim themselves to be non-active Christian. So it means that 80%, more than 80% of Americans claim themselves to be Christian. 50% active, 30% is not active. That's a big number. It means that 200 million Americans claim themselves to be active Christian. Mean that they go to church at least once a month. They give tithe offering to the church. And they take part in all activity of the church, or some, at least some. So you see that America today is the biggest concentration of Christian in this century. And all the things will come out from America. American churches is the leader in the 20th century. Now we don't know. Now we move on the 21st century. We will see who going to be new center or leader. Now, America have all the school, they all seminary, college that world famous, and all the famous preacher will come from America now. Good or worse, we have to judge. But the center of Christianity moved to America in the 20th century. Okay, I will stop here and come back to your question or reflection about now we are in the 21st century. That we will talk more next week and learn more about what will happen in the future of the church, the Christian church. That we have talked about 2000 years that have passed. Now we are 2020 now. So what you have learned, what impressed you the most for the 2000-year history of the Christian church? It ended up in America and where you are now. You are the heart, the head of the Christianity. And the future. You want to try to predict? Yes.
Yes. Hi. During the World War II, in school, I was reading about the book of Anne Frank. I don't know if that was related.
Anne Frank is a Jew.
Right.
I went to see her apartment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad I was able to come to class today. So I know when you were talking about the World War II, and I just remember her name, the book that I read back then. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, and I also have another couple questions in regards to the I do use the commentary David Guzik, I don't know how to pronounce it. And he used a lot of Spurgeon's commentary as well. When I read through the commentary, I saw his name quite a bit, but I didn't know the history behind it. So I'm glad that I'm able to know where the commentary and know a little bit about them. And one last question. Billy Graham, would you say that he has the golden mouth? We talked about that like a couple of sessions ago.
Well, in the modern day, because Billy Graham is the preacher of the century, mean that he preached to hundreds of millions of people because of the new technology. He started with preaching through the radio and then television.
Right.
And later on through the internet. But he died several years ago.
Yes.
His son cannot pick up what his dad left. So somebody say that because it's a new generation type, you cannot do what Billy Graham so successful today because young modern people don't care about the old model anymore.
Correct. That's why it's just my thinking. I might think wrong, but that's why as a church, in order for the church to grow, I believe that the church need to move forward. They can't be staying the same mindset. They need to change the way they think, the way they act, and how to nurture their flocks, like you were saying. So there's a lot of things that needs to be changed, but slowly, but you cannot do it like one day, but and it takes the whole community to do it. So it's sometimes it's really hard for them to change their mindset because they already believe, oh, I've been doing this many years. So if it's not broken, don't fix it, that type of mentality they have. So yeah, and when I talk about God, I have a lot of questions. Anything that has to do with him, I want to know as much as possible. So yeah, sorry, John, I talk too much because I like talking about him.
Yes, that you have the point. We study church history because not just because we want to know about the past, but we want to plan for the future.
Correct.
You see that the church have adopt, and changed throughout that 2,000 years. And we not just survive, we do very well. By the help of God, the church do very well. But from time to time, we know that the church stop growing or stagnates. And because of some leadership who don't want to improve, don't want to change, and don't want to do anything, they might blame economy, they might blame war, they might blame many other things. I think, but most of the thing that is about ourselves.
Yeah.
We not really learn from history. We not really want to change or want to improve ourselves. And I think that the point is stop blaming other people and look inside ourselves what we can do.
Yeah, that's why I try to I like, because I don't know if the women at my church they read Bible or not, but because I'm the last one to be there, and but I like to encourage them to start daily devotion and how to build them, because each individual has to find their own spot and their own where they're comfortable and build their relationship, because I believe that he didn't die at the cross for us to have a religion, but to have a relationship with him.
You're right. And I want to emphasize to you that throughout history, we see big revival start with a small group of people who start praying together. And the power of that prayer group will spread out like Wi-Fi everywhere. More and more group of prayer group will start, and that the impact the church later on. So you can start small.
Right.
A few of you join together, pray fervently for revival, for your church, for your people, and that will spread out the revival later on. It's all start that way. A little
Thank
fire.
you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And this is not my theory. This is the fact, the history. Yes, Nathan?
John, I heard that one time Billy Graham tried to make peace between Catholics and other religions, especially for, with Baptists. Is it right?
Well, Billy Graham is trying. But you see that Billy Graham is the simple preacher who not go deep in theology. He just care about people get salvation. And I don't know, people say that he just a simple preacher who just preached a simple sermon, but God used him. And he always have the idea that all churches supposed to do the same thing, same goal, bring people back to God. But if you think deeper, how could that happen? You cannot count every church is a real church. But I think Billy Graham don't think that deep. He just think that everyone who call themselves Christian should be the same. But theologically, they are not. So I don't think he's so much successful on that. But in the surface, it might be, oh, the Catholic love Billy Graham because he talk peace, he talk unity, ecumenical, that a Greek word for unity.
John, I heard that, Billy Graham, I just Samaritan. He set up a hospital between Ukraine and then also Russian in the border there to help all the injured soldiers. I don't know if it's. I'm not sure if it's. That is true or not.
I don't know too, but Billy Graham passed away about 5-6 years ago. Now, if something done is his son. His son did Frank Graham or something. His son.
The son's name Franklin Graham.
Yeah. Franklin Graham, his oldest son, who run the ministry now. I don't know how he do it, or it's a charity, social work network.
Yeah.
So they might try to do something. Okay. You have any more comment, reflection for what we learned tonight? So it sum up that the church have survived this long, and a lot of time we do very well. If you look back 2,000 years when Jesus started the church, small group of people in Jerusalem. Now you can name that everywhere in the world there is a church or a believer. And there are many group of Christians who try to bring the Bible into all nations, all language. And they work hard on that because they believe in the command of Jesus that bring the good news to every nation on the world, in the world, everywhere. So a lot of believers still do their best, try that to obey Jesus. Okay, maybe we have enough for tonight. You have any more questions? Okay, if not, let us pray. Loving God, we thank you that we spend time together tonight to learn a lot about your church and how to serve you. I lift up all students before you. Give them the strength or the resources that they need and help them to be your faithful servant all the way throughout their life. Provide for them and protect them until we come back again next week. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. God with you all.
Okay, good night.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Yes.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye all.
Good night.